since y'all hoes so worried about it, yes, this nigga Tory shot me.
Who shot y'all? Separate the
I ain't gonna lie, I need to vent for a second. Tory Lanez got 14 times in jail. DDG has a DV case against him. And Jason Tatum ruptured his Achilles. This shit been rough, I'm not even gonna lie to you. But let's just start off by talking about the things that have resurfaced with Tory Lanez. And why there is a petition with over 200,000 signatures saying free him.
Please will you free me?
Alright, now even before all this happened, this was already one of the biggest cases of the new generation, probably since OJ. And it began to resurface when a representative from Florida decided to drop this on Twitter. And this is when it really began to feel like a TV show. You know, when something crazy just happens and the suspense is killing you and you have to wait for the next episode? Well, she begins to drop a bombshell. And it's just even more interesting as she drops all of this on Twitter for everybody to see and feel even more invested in this case. And now in it is an affidavit of Kelsey's driver. He claims that he heard Kelsey say that she shot the gun that night.
Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Miss Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody.
There's a lot of theories running online that this is like a whole setup and blah, 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 blah. And these attorneys are leaning into that.
So not only do we have that, but along with this, Tory's team and I guess people who are also invested in the case and state that they have enough evidence to prove that Tory Lanez is unjustly imprisoned.
Now, you would figure as a result of all of this, this case would pretty much be open and shut by now. But actually, when you go on comment sections across the internet, on social media, on any post having to do with Megan Thee Stallion or Tory Lanez, you will find tons and tons and tons of comments about how Megan lied, she's guilty, free Tory, put Megan in jail instead of Tory. And these calls and proclamations have definitely reached a fever pitch as of late, especially in the wake of this recent story having to do with Tory Lanez being while in prison.
Tory Lanez has been convicted on a flawed as well as incomplete narrative. If you still have anyone in your life that just simply believes that Tory Lanez is guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt, send them this video. A compilation of all of the evidence that I'm receiving is from a website.
New evidence here that they're really
laying everything on this audio from someone who testified at the trial, Mr. Sean Kelly. Now, what I find interesting about this audio is that it's quite rambly. The only thing Kelly sounds completely sure of here in this recording is that there was an altercation between the 2 women who he saw on the scene. He starts to get to the shooting part of the whole thing. He talks about it being dark, having not seen things too clearly. And then when we get to the very end of the recording, where it sounds like he's about to tell us more, maybe vital information, the recording, of course, just cuts off.
But it was dark and I'm above, so, but then the guy gets out again from the back.
Now, what I find interesting about just hanging so much weight on this audio of this man who was a witness in the trial is that he testified in the trial and had some pretty damning and definitive things to say. He testified that he saw an unidentified woman fire the first shot, but that he saw a smaller gentleman fire 4 or 5 subsequent shots in quick succession, causing a woman to fall to the ground bleeding.
If you take a look at the way that she got out of the car, now bottle is broken on the ground right now. She gets out and she steps right on the bottle. And if you noticed, she's not limping until she steps on the bottle. Watch. You can audibly hear the bottle break or that she stepped on shards. Now she's super limping.
Now, since all of this has been out, Megan's team has stated that all of this has already been refuted in court and Tory Lanez has already been rightfully convicted for what happened that night. Megan Thee Stallion has taken to social media to say, hey, it's enough. It's enough. I shouldn't have to relive this every single day. And also continues to say that she was indeed a victim that night.
Y'all going back and forth about facts. Y'all could go read real shit. Like, y'all literally believe anything if it's bold and in all caps. Go read something that's gonna make you have to do some critical thinking. Not a thing that is curated by bots and blogs that hate me. Like, y'all need to sit down and have a good read.
We released the Cedars-Sinai records in our presentation. This is not the first time those records have been available to the public. It clearly states in numerous places, just on that one page, that bullet fragments were removed from both of Miss Pete's feet. You have to ask yourself, why are we still hearing the same conspiracy theories run over and over again?
Now, this is not going to be a pick a side type of video. It is not my job to be a detective. What I will say that is very interesting is the amount of things that we can find on social media. If you've on Twitter, you maybe have already seen the video of Tory Lanez being assaulted in prison. Now, I don't even know how Shade Room gets this type of footage, along with the other things that we're able to have visual footage of. Well, except the thing that actually happened. Matter of fact, there's so many things that we have access to that, not gonna lie, we probably shouldn't be able to see. Social media has legit put us in an entirely new world, not only for people to socialize and make comments on people they've never met and speak on trials they've never been in, but see a man get assaulted and it spark a conversation about whether or not he's guilty. Now, there's nothing wrong with you caring about an injustice being done, but regardless of what you believe, I believe that you bashing a person that you've never met or seen a day in your life is still kind of crazy. Now, with all of the tragedies that are already going on, unfortunately, I hate, but it feels like a gender war is taking place. You're always going to have a subsection of people on the internet who are just ready to bash women, if we're being honest. And you're gonna also have another subsection of women who are ready to bash men. And unfortunately, we get it on every single platform. And I'm not gonna lie, I love to see people passionate about things. Just not these manners. And I think a lot of times social media puts a light on things that may not even be a real problem. But there being so many different things going on in this world, social media once again has shown its negative effect.
Last year was Act 1, I'm so that nigga.
Alright, so with all of the evidence that we had before and the newfound evidence that we have now, it raises the question to the title of this video. What does this mean if Tory Lanez is innocent? And not only for Tory Lanez, but what would this mean for Megan Thee Stallion? Because if you ask me, it feels like, well, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Typically in situations like this, you're just hoping that the victim is lying. Not because you want somebody to be a liar, but because you would rather no real hurt be done and everybody go home safely. But in this scenario, if Megan Thee Stallion is telling the truth, not only does she still have the trauma from that night, but she gets to relive it every time it's resurfaced. And we've already seen her crash out about this on social media. She is getting tired of it. Now, hypothetically, allegedly, if she is lying, then this means that an innocent man is serving 10 years in prison, already served a year or 2 in jail, and has been 14 times, and is also being called a liar and a woman abuser. Which is why I say, well, shit, damned if you do and damned if you don't. Either way you look at it, it is a bad situation.
Megan Thee Stallion needs to be in the same prison that they're trying to send Diddy to. She needs to be in the same prison that Tory Lanez just got stabbed up in 14 times. The doctor said it was a miracle that he's even alive right now. All of this is it's like a movie. They're trying to hide it.
Why should Megan be in prison?
She's a liar. She made a false accusation.
She did not make a false accusation.
How did she not make a false accusation?
Now, regardless of what I stated earlier, I don't have a horse in this race. I love Tory Lanez music, and I would love for him to be out and making more music, even though his album in jail was a classic. But I don't know that nigga. I ain't never seen or met this man a day in my life. I am able to separate the art from the artist. Yes, you make bangers, but you may have also shot this woman. I don't know, dog. And the problem that I'm seeing is there are so many people who are trying to come to the rescue. So many people making tweets bashing Megan Thee Stallion, who I don't even think they've made or done enough research about this case to even make statements like that.
With all of the pushes and efforts being done, is it even realistic for Tory Lanez to be pardoned?
Savannah Chrisley said she's looking into Tory Lanez's case. This is after getting her parents free.
Right.
Her parents obviously were pardoned by President Trump, and now the next crusade she's going on is potentially getting Tory Lanez out of prison, because she's considering all the information and she thinks there are several key issues about the verdict.
She even said that she spoke to Tory Lanez's father, and she said that she doesn't think he's like necessarily innocent, just that she doesn't think the full truth has been revealed. But the thing is that isn't Tory Lanez a state case? It's not federal.
Oh.
So like with her getting her parents out, that was federal, right? So that was like a direct, like Trump can pardon like federal cases, but he can't if it's like a state case. So that's why you have people like Larry Hoover.
Yeah.
He was pardoned federally, but he's still serving time because it's a state thing.
So she should be trying to get like Newsom or someone.
Yeah, it's got to be going for the governor.
Which is probably a harder sell for Savannah Chrisley.
Tory Lanez's innocence won't matter for a multitude of reasons. The same way when he was convicted of shooting Megan, people were still saying, no, Tory didn't do it. Free Tory. They were riding with Tory regardless. Even if Tory Lanez was unjustly imprisoned and should be a free man, there would still be a subsection of people that are saying, no, I am still going to ride with Megan. The public perception around him and the negative connotation around him will always exist, no matter what.
And I think this is also a place where Tory's got a bit of a case, because when they did the testing, they had Tory Lanez's DNA expert in the state. And surprisingly, both of them came to the same conclusions when they tested the gun. One, when they tested the magazine, Tory Lanez's DNA was not on the magazine. Two, GSR was found both on Kelsey Harris and Tory Lanez. Three, and I think this is the part that fucks him a little bit, Tory Lanez's DNA wasn't conclusive for being on the gun, but 90% of the DNA they recovered from the gun itself is male. Why is this important? Only 2 people are alleged to have held onto that gun before the shooting. One is a female, one is a male. 90% of the DNA that is on the gun itself belongs to a male. Both the defense and the prosecution's DNA expert said they can't exclude or include Tory Lanez's DNA. It is inconclusive. That means that a woman didn't fire the gun like they're claiming. Again, this is just another thing. It's not a smoking gun because, again, it's not his DNA. But what it does show is it points to him. Another thing that counts against him. When the police came by and they located the firearm, where did they find it? They find it right where Tory Lanez himself claimed he was sitting. I get that people are big fans of his. I get that people think he was railroaded or whatever. But I'm being honest with you. If you objectively just look at the evidence presented, right? You look at how the defense team is not presenting this website and how dishonest the medical reports is. It's just like, I can't take it seriously.
And as I looked through the case and I noticed a number of irregularities in the case, I began to come to that same conclusion that this was an innocent person. Let me take you back to the very beginning. Kelsey Harris, how could she testify without telling on herself? Number one, she went to court that day, pleaded the fifth. The prosecution gave her immunity. Immunity from what? She was never accused by the prosecution. She was never accused by Megan P. Why plead the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination? That didn't make sense to me. According to the bodyguard in another conversation in that car during this same period of time, she says that she got the gun out the car, which was in her bag, shot the gun in the air 3 times. Tory ran over there to stop her, pushing her hand down, and 2 more gunshots went into the ground. That is where it's reasonable to believe the wounds came from for Megan Thee Stallion. But why is it that they never tested her DNA onto the gun? You knew that she had gunpowder on her hand. They found that out. Why didn't they test that? That George Gascon had put on a front. He wanted to pretend to be tough on crime so he can have a silver bullet for his next election because he had a black woman that he can say that he protected. But we've seen this with numerous cases with George Gascon, and that's why the Caldwell Institute got involved in this case.
And I just feel like these back and forth moments are damaging. It's damaging when injustice moments are done and or real victims need their voices heard. There is nothing wrong with having an opinion. There's nothing wrong with thinking that Tory didn't do it or that Megan is telling the truth. But you take what you take from this video and draw your own conclusions. Do your own research. My problem is that people scroll on TikTok
take that small bit of information and they run with it. And they use this little piece of information and they use it to bash another person, as if these celebrities aren't real people. Because regardless of how these cases or how these trials go, guilty or not, your life isn't going to change from it. But sadly, theirs is. My issue is putting these people on a pedestal and allowing their influence to sway public favor. We need this level of engagement. We need this amount of people engaged in these type of conversations anytime injustice is being done. And I'm not saying that this Tory Lanez case is injustice. Everything is alleged. I'm just hypothetically speaking. But this whole Yap session is really based around, why does it start with people caring with these celebrities and also stop with them? Why do we only have this level of attachment with people when we're being entertained by them? I'm just saying, if you care this much about these cases, if you're this passionate and this invested, then you should also care about things that are in your state or in your local community as well. I'm not saying that you have to care about every problem that is going on. That would be impossible. I'm not saying that you have to become some type of activist. In life, we can only care about so many things. And the things that are placed on your heart, you take action towards it. I'm just saying, it's a little suspect if this is one of the things that is just so much on your heart and you're trying to take action toward it. Your level of involvement or caring shouldn't start with Tory Lanez and stop with these celebrities.
It's always been weird to me seeing people complain about things that they're not willing to fight for. They're going these rants and these tweets as if they're some type of social activist, but they're not actually doing any real efforts for change to be done.
Which to me just further proves, hey, social media is not a real place. Everybody is a bot. Today I am calling not people who are actually on trial, but the people who are choosing to invest themselves so much that they think they are a part of this case. I am calling to trial the bored individual who dive into these celebrity lives just for the love of the game. Today I am calling to trial the people versus reality. That's all I got. I'm done yapping.
It's a cold Sunday to complain.